Hello, welcome to Clipping In. It's Friday, the 8th of August. Yes, I'm still here. I haven't clipped out yet. But this short video is going to serve as a bit of an update, put you in the picture of what you might expect to see or not over the next few months on the channel. While since I posted, over 2 weeks I think, and in July I think there were 3 videos in total. So yeah, the frequency's dropped off. 1 or 2 comments have started appearing asking him if I'm okay, I'm still riding, and I thought, right, it's time really to put something out there, put you in the picture of what might be happening in the next few months on Clipping In. I've, time-wise, my ability to take big chunks of time going to the Yorkshire Dales or wherever, that's completely evaporated. I mean, where I live, Yorkshire Dales rides, they start at 75 to 80 miles and they go up however long you want to go. But it means that I really need 5 hours for a Dales ride, and that's 5 hours non-stop, no cafe stops, no shop stops, and keeping an eye on the clock. And if I have less than that, it's just not practical. You know, if I've only got 3.5 hours, it just doesn't work, because it's 25 miles for me to get to Skipton and 25 back. So yeah, they're a luxury that my current ration book won't stretch to. Now, those connected on Strava will know that I haven't stopped riding, that my rides have got shorter and less frequent, but I am still pedalling. But I also am aware that there are a majority of subscribers to the channel are not Strava observant. Sounds like a religion, doesn't it? Knock, knock, knock. Excuse me, sir, have you got 5 minutes to talk about the benefits of Strava? So yeah, for those who aren't Strava observant, this video's for you. It's difficult. When I started the channel 3 years ago, every weekend I was doing rides in the 125, 130 mile category. Great days out in the Dales. And, you know, I wanted to capture those on video for posterity. But that's changed. It's changed an awful lot, really, over the last 12, 18 months. And 8 hours came down to 7, came down to 6, came down to 5. And now, at its worst, sometimes I don't know really from one day to the next how long I'll have in terms of bike time, or if I'll have any bike time at all. Often just I have to make my mind up on the morning itself and say, yeah, okay, I wanted 4, but I can get 2.5, make the most of it. I think it's important though to to state that I'm not complaining, because you know, one thing I don't enjoy are the YouTubers where it's all woe is me. Oh, I've got to make videos. Oh, that's, you know, far from the case here. And I see a division, I see a difference between rides that I enjoy doing, maybe 4 or 5 times a week as a cyclist, and then rides that really I get frustrated with when I'm trying to make videos for YouTube, to slot into an existing format or an existing style for clipping in. Purely from a cycling point of view, if I'm ticking over with 10 hours a week, 11 hours a week, I can say that I've been in far worse situations than that in the past, either through injury, where I'm completely unable to cycle for months, if not years, or I'm simply being run off my feet with all manner of obligations and commitments, and there isn't any time at all from one day to the next. So my present situation is a long way from that, and I'm quite happy that sometimes I go out, I've got an hour 20, I get loosened up and I go for a bit of a gallop, and I can say, ooh, a 30 sign, whoom. Great fun. But it's not clipping in style. There isn't a theme, there isn't history, there isn't a change in environment or scenery. Nobody wants to see me sprinting for 30 signs now and again. I don't, anyway. And that's the difference, that's where the frustration comes in. But it's not a frustration with cycling. But it leaves me at a bit of a crossroads, really, because if this time rationing continues for the immediate future, what do I do video-wise? One thing I've tried for this year, because I've been unable to do the big Dales rides or take a train 2.5, 3 hours out and then ride home, I've tried to look for novelty closer to home. Tried to do familiar routes in an opposite direction, just to provide new video footage, a new perspective. But I've got to the point now where I can't think of anything new within my typical 2.5, 3 hour ration. So repetition is the only option if I'm going to revisit those kinds of rides. And an obvious candidate would be to return to the sub 2 hour series that I did. Now that's almost 2 years ago. It was the autumn of 2023. So if I did do sub 2 hour revisited, I would guess subscriber count back then was about, it was just under 500, and now it's just shy of 1,600. So if that means anything, it could be 1,100 people who haven't seen the sub 2 hour series. So it'll be new to them. The other option at this crossroads I'm standing at is to say no, only post the noteworthy rides, the big rides in new areas or areas I haven't visited for a long time, further afield, and just space the videos out. And if therefore if I go 2 months between videos, so be it. I've never had an upload schedule, but generally, if I do go 2 months between videos, people wonder where I am. I know earlier this year, when I had a big flare up on my hip at winter, I think I went 6 weeks, and I was having to field quite a few comments and concerned messages at that point. That was simply because I didn't ride at all during that time when my hip was bad. And because I wasn't riding, I didn't make any videos. You know, I'm not going to start doing indoor training videos, turbo training videos, core strength, or showing you some rehab exercises from broken hips. I'm sure it's all fascinating stuff, but it doesn't belong on Clipping In. I'm on the A58 from Birkenshaw, heading towards Drilington. I mention this because I think this qualifies as a short section of road that's never been on the channel before. Oh, novelty. This, for a long time, was a super busy road connecting essentially Leeds and Bradford. Nowadays, less so, with various bypasses and a nearby motorway. Welcome to the delights of part of the Drilington bypass. Yes! This was plugged in late 80s, early 90s. And it continues Wakefield Road from Bradford, avoiding Drig and heading then towards, we're roughly in the direction of Leeds. And there's a junction with the M621. It's one of those odd roads that you would have thought, with traffic volume as it was in the late 80s, early 90s, they would have made it a dual carriageway. But instead it's single. Skipton bypass always struck me as odd. That's another one that they plugged the Skipton bypass in around 81, 82. But it's single carriageway. Yeah, that's my civil engineering moan out of the way. So this is now the old road to Dridlington. The Wakefield Road. Might be a road that Thomas Fairfax galloped along. Who knows? But apart from a little bit of local traffic, this is nice and quiet now. Well, that was an interesting chat from a present day academic to a former academic. Interesting to hear all the same problems 30 years later. Very little has changed. A little bit breezy today, probably about 18 or 19 C. But good enough. Counts as good weather in my book. Can't say the same the weekend just gone. Whoa! I took one almighty thrashing on Sunday in the Saddleworth Hills. Oh! Heavy, heavy rain that has that percussive quality when it hits you on the hits you between the shoulder blades, and thick mist. Pretty strong winds, Yeah, I was no visibility. Once with my eyesight, once my glasses are on the end of my nose, that's it. I'm in trouble visibility-wise. So yeah, that was an interesting 50 miler. Oh. And then there was Storm Floris, of course, but it seems to be settling back now into warm, slightly breezy. The Pennines. Crumbs. Oh. Just when I change gear, or rather change chain rings. So we're going down Milcar Hill to Openshaw. Now I've got to be careful down here because there are some temporary lights not far from the bottom of this hill. And that means if you're descending at speed on a blind right, it's possible to meet a string of cars who aren't quite sure where they're going. There. I've just built up to a big dramatic warning and it's clear. Well, signing off time. Not been a bad ride. I think it's pushing 38 miles or so. A little bit of everything. As I said earlier on, it's the sort of ride that, as a cyclist, I really enjoy. If that's all I could do, week in, week out, yeah, I'd relish it. But just in terms of fitting into the clipping in canon, doesn't quite sort of tuck next to a Pennygent Limestone 100 or a, 6 Yorkshire Dales and all that kind of thing, but you have to cut your cloth, etc. So perhaps this is the kind of ride that is going to be the short to medium term future for the channel. We'll see. We'll let the Yorkshire roads decide. Bye for now.